something drastic, that same way of thinking will not get you there. So are your reasons why, are they shoulds or are they musts? I know someone who is here this weekend who found out about convention about a week ago, didn't have the money to go, returned a bunch of groceries that they had purchased so that they could have the money to be able to come to convention. And I look at that person, I'm like, well, obviously it's a must, right, for that person. So the fourth lesson is, I want you to believe that what God has in store for you through this path is way beyond your wildest dreams. And I didn't really come to appreciate that idea until we were invited to go with a group of people, a group of doTERRA wellness advocates, to Haiti. We were about 9 hours south of Port-au-Prince, up in the mountains with the vetiver farmers, and we were watching the children who had to travel down the mountain an hour and a half, 2 times a day to get water. And I watched doTERRA put in this water well. And I thought to myself, man, 5-10 years ago, no one could have convinced me that the Girls Oils Club would have done this, right? And but I'm just here to promise you that what is in store will transcend your wildest dreams. The last lesson, before we finish up, but the last lesson is, do the most important thing first and don't stop until it's done. And what I mean by that is, most people love to do the things that carry the least amount of risk. So you look at your to-do list, the things that you need to do, and you pick the ones that you know carry the least amount of risk. I'm going to tag like 50 of my leaders in this Facebook post so that they all come to the class, right? Somehow tagging people has become like a form of leadership. It's not, okay? But my point is, if you want your business to grow, find the thing that carries the most risk, because it will also deliver the biggest reward. And so I'll leave you with some of the words that really someone who's a mentor to me indirectly that has changed my life about this process of committing to the journey. And that's Les Brown. And at a lot of the end of his speeches, he says this poem. And I want you to think about this poem. And I want you to think about whether you have shoulds or you have musts. And he says, if you want something bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your dreams and your hope and your peace and your sleep for it, if all that you dream and you scheme is about it and life seems useless and worthless without it, if you gladly sweat for it, fret for it, and plan for it, and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, if you simply go after that thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope, confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold, famine, or doubt, sickness or pain of body and brain could keep you away from the things that you want, then dogged and grim, besiege or beset it. With the help of God, you will get it. Thank you.
Written in these walls are the stories that I can't explain. I leave my heart open, but it stays right here empty for days. She told me in the morning she don't feel the same about us in her bones.
Okay, so we're going to do a panel real quick. We're going to do a standing panel. I don't know what a standing panel looks like, but we're going to figure it out. Okay. So the purpose of this panel, the question, it's about committing to the journey. And I know that, and I'd like to know, actually, I know that many of you have come this week in different places emotionally and timeline-wise in your businesses, right? Some of you maybe have come, and maybe you had a couple leaders that quit. Has anybody come like that? Yeah, there's 2 hands, right? Okay, or maybe some of you have come, you're in like massive momentum. Or my point is, though, that no matter who you are, no matter what you think about us that have been on stage or what it really looks like, all of us have had to go through really, really tough things. And so what we want you guys to know is what we have tried to do to push through and to stay committed to the journey. Because it's obvious if you don't stay committed to the journey, what happens, right? You quit. And so we're going to go through, and each of these amazing people is going to have the chance to talk about when they weren't making the money they wanted, when they weren't the rank that they wanted, when they had people that quit and gave up, when they were disappointed, when they were struggling, and maybe they wanted to quit. What was it within them, or what happened that allowed them to stay committed to the journey? Would you guys be cool with hearing each of their takes on that? Awesome.
Okay.
Maybe introduce yourself as well, how long you've been in doTERRA, and then so everybody knows. I mean, everybody already knows, but.
Maybe not. Okay, hi everybody. I'm Rebecca Hinsey, and I enrolled, my number's like 2070, so I was like enrolled in July of 2008, way back in the early days of doTERRA. And I have had a lot of ups and downs in my business, I have to be honest, as probably all of you will say too, I would think. So if you're thinking the ride is just easy peasy, I want to just tell you that any level of success that you achieve in life comes at a cost, and at having commitment towards something. It doesn't matter if it's doTERRA or anything in life. And I do have to say that I feel like there is a little bit of a sense of entitlement that some of us have in our country and maybe even our culture, where we think that things, like you said, will easily to us, when history tells us that any good thing comes with effort. And so on my doTERRA, I've had those discouraging days with trying to balance home and family. I remember in the early days, I said to my husband, because I'm a book author and I had written a book prior to doTERRA that was doing well, I told my husband, I said, I could have done one speaking engagement and made more money than I made in the entire year at doTERRA. And so why in the world am I doing this? And my husband said something funny to me. He said, a farmer never shoots a milking cow. And he said, does your business make you money? And I said, yes. And he said, then you have a milking cow. A farmer never shoots a milking cow. And so when my wellness advocates who talk to me are discouraged and feel like they're working too hard and not making enough, I remind them that a farmer never shoots a milking cow. And so to go to their back office and to pull up the history of their account and hold up a sheet of paper on the commission scale and see if it's inclining, and if it's going up, not a milking cow, and so one should shoot a milking cow. I think that's an analogy, though, that we shouldn't shoot ourselves in the foot. When we have a goal and a dream, we should stick with it. And Kyle also said something earlier that's important, and that is no problem that we have can be solved with the same level of thinking that created the problem. And so anytime I feel like I'm stuck, I have to get myself to a new level of thinking, because problem solving is something that all of us have to do at doTERRA, including our own blocks, our own emotional challenges that we face. One other thing I want to add before I pass the mic, I had 5 children at home when I started here. They're leaving now. And I know some of you struggle with balancing your children and feeling like you're working too much, maybe as moms, and that's hard for you. I remember having some of those same feelings, but a couple of thoughts on that. Throughout time and history, we know where women have helped and worked in the home, from the early revolutionary days when many of our founding fathers left for years on end and their wives managed the farm and the family and the children, and did a lot, to World War II, when women stepped up while their husbands were away at war. There's a lot of, like I said, entitlement to think that we don't have to work, that women also work a lot of times outside of the home as single mothers. And as my children are leaving, I did put my family first, and I did always make sure my children's needs were met, and that was always my priority. However, I did do doTERRA, and I did build a presidential diamond business. And as my kids are leaving, they're thanking me, and I'm watching them grow to be entrepreneurs themselves. And many of the qualities and skills that I see that they have come because I did build a doTERRA business. And so on the flip side, and I'm just saying this to all you moms who have kids at home, it's an okay thing for your kids to see you achieve your dreams. It's an okay thing for them to see you find financial success. They're learning as you work, and that is a way that you're teaching your children. Meet their needs first, always. But definitely know that it's okay. Drop some of that mommy guilt, because you can be successful in your life, and that is one of the ways you serve your family.
That was good for me to hear. I have 3 little ones, and it's really neat to hear, what those seeds are being planted in them. My name is Carrie Sammons. I live in Columbus, Ohio with my husband Gary and our 3 kids that are 9, 7, and 5. And I got enrolled with doTERRA back in July 2009. So it's been over 7 years. And to answer this question, I think it's so important to just keep going back to, and by the way, your why, we talk all about your reason why you're doing this, that's going to morph and change as you are on this journey, but it has to always be going back to, why am I doing this to begin with? And I'll never forget the time I came back home to Gary, and he was skeptical about the oils. He was skeptical about doTERRA and everything in the beginning. And I came home from teaching my first class, and I had tears dripping down my face. And I said, I don't care if I ever make a penny doing this. I feel like these oils were placed in my lap to share with people. People need to know about these. And so that is still to this day one of the biggest things that has kept me going. And one thing that's a huge priority as a mom and as a wife, and with a lot of other things going on in my life, is I didn't want this to overrule some of those other core priorities. And so I've told everybody, my interesting thing about my journey is that I didn't break any records hitting ranks in Mach speed. But this is, if you commit to the journey, you keep doing those core things, if you keep sharing samples and you keep following up with people and teaching classes, some weeks you might be able to teach 3, other months you might only be able to teach 3 in a month. But if you just commit and being consistent with those habits over the course of time, you will hit your goals. And you have to remember, we are building an asset. So in the beginning, you might not be seeing your paycheck might not reflect the amount of hours and effort that you feel like you put in. But if you remember why you're doing this, and that over the course of time, it took us 6 years, but we hit Presidential Diamond, and just by doing those things consistently. And I've always been able to say I'm a full-time mom, and I do doTERRA for fun on the side, and that's still my story. I'm sticking to it.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having us here. My name is Adela Romay, and I have been in doTERRA for 4 years. I want to share real quick. When we started doTERRA, the goal was to open Mexico, where we have no oil, we have no material, and that's just our problem. That was our limitations. We all know that you have yours, but what we're trying here to tell you is that no matter how big or how small they are, you can do it if you commit something bigger than yourself. If you commit to your family, if you commit to your team, if you commit to the company, and the great goal that we have, that put oil in every house, change everybody's life. Because as cheesy as it sounds, we do change lives. And I hope you know that, because there's someone there that needs you. We need you. We need everybody, all of us, to be committed, because this is the only way to just break the barriers, to keep going and going. We all have had the worst day in our lives. And that's one of the things that it kept me going. I know the worst day in my life was November 29, 2009. That if I'm here, and it didn't defeat me, nothing is going to defeat me. Find your why, find your worst day, and use it. Use it, because you're here with bigger purpose. You are here with a bigger purpose, and don't forget that. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rochelle Brinkerhoff, and I've been part of doTERRA since 2012. When I started my journey, I had just gone through a really difficult divorce and had 2 small children that depended on me. And and at this time, doTERRA fell into my lap, and I've always been really passionate about health and wellness and teaching other people to take care of their health. And so I really saw this as being a vehicle that was going to not only transform our lives, but many around us. And during this time, I literally had $20 to my name and had to move in with a friend and really figure things out. And my best friend, Kirsten Kirschbaum, who's Kyle's wife, she sent me a quote that had a picture of us together on it, and it said, there are 2 primary choices in life: to accept conditions as they exist, or to accept responsibilities for changing them. And that really resonated with me. I had that hanging on my fridge for years. In fact, it's still there, and it's moldy and faded at this point. But there was so many times where I really doubted myself, and I wasn't sure if I was capable of being the leader that I needed to be. And surrounding yourself with a support system that loves you and cares about you, whether it's in doTERRA or not, is key, because those are people that believe in you, and they're going to continue to help you deepen your own belief in yourself. And it's a journey. These obstacles that we encounter along this journey that we're on are all things that really teach us the lessons that we need to learn about ourselves to be the better person, to become the better leader that is going to help us grow an organization that really empowers and impacts people around us. And for 4 years later, becoming a Blue Diamond, that was just such an awesome experience to be part of. And now I get to be a stay-at-home mom with my kids, and we get to travel around the world and create memories that are going to last a lifetime. And we get to continue to reach out to other people, empower them to do the same thing. They're taking care of their health, they're taking care of their financial well-being, and it's a really beautiful thing to be part of. And so, support system is key, and to just keep going forward, no matter what the obstacles are that are in your way. I promise you, if you just continue to move forward, things will work itself out, and you'll grow and learn so much from that. So.
So my name is Donna Taves, and one of the things that I believed kept me going was my support system on my upline, and there was many of them. And if you don't feel like you have support, just keep looking, because none of us can do this on our own. This is not about ourselves. This is about a team. And if you don't have that, look for it, find it in your friends, find it in. And if you don't have it in your immediate upline, just keep going until you find it. I had to chase my upline down, y'all, until someone supported me. And it was beautiful when they did. And I think the belief that they put into you, like Rochelle was saying, is so important, because I didn't believe in myself. I believed in doTERRA, and there were moments I believed in myself, but there were so many more moments where I didn't. And they just said, Donna, you got what it takes. You got what it takes. And I had to just hold on to that when I didn't believe it for myself. And even if they weren't speaking to me, I held it for myself. I heard it from my upline, and I held it for myself. I heard it from other people's upline, and I held it for myself. And if you have that, then look for it, because it's yours. You are already enough. You are already powerful enough to do this. And when you feel like things fall apart on your teams, like many times they have on my team, don't put your eggs all in one basket. You can just keep going and keep going and keep going, and it will happen for you. I promise you it does, if you just keep going and believe in you and believe in doTERRA, because doTERRA in and of itself has the foundation that you are standing on. It is enough.
Hey, my name is Brad Taves. I'm married to this beautiful woman beside me. And success is an inside-out job, which I think all of us would agree with. It's not something that is external, but it's something that happens and is generated inside of us. And kind of like you said, Kyle, of the Tony Robbins quote of if it's a must for you, you will go after that thing. And I think for us, doTERRA was a must. It came at a point in our lives where we needed physical healing for our kids, and we needed financial healing for ourselves, and realizing later on that we need other healing. I hope I can say the word healing in here, but emotional and spiritual, right? Transformation, right? Impact. Stop recording. So it was a burning desire. It was like, yes, we needed to do this, and we realized that the core values of what doTERRA stood for were our core values. And once we knew that, then we could step forward to say, yes, we can trust into this process, because we resonate at the level. And it's been an amazing journey, lots of ups and downs. So we are super happy to be here. And people like Kyle, our upline, who have just spoke life into us and believed in us. It's been amazing.
My name is Adish. I'm from Australia. Yeah. Where are the Aussies here, please? Yeah. Come on, give it to me. I have a weird German accent. Because I'm also German. Where's my German team here? There it is. That's good. Great. Okay, so I'm on my journey with doTERRA since 6 years, and it's been a roller coaster ride. We weren't looking for something. We weren't in need. Very strange, right? And still, I consider that doTERRA came into our lives. It chose us rather than we are looking for something. We weren't looking for anything. But how can you resist Natalie Goddard in your home, right? So since then, it has been quite a roller coaster ride, and we hit the wall so many times, I can't believe it. So at one stage, and it's a bit of a joke, but it's like what you should do if you're really honest with yourself and you want to do it, chase your upline. And we did. We even went so far that we put out an ultimatum. In a gentle way, nice, so like we understand you're busy, you're a big team, and so many people asking from you, but we were frontline and we knew that. So we said like, look, if you don't come to the ball game, we looked deeply, we honestly, for a month, we looked inside, we looked deeply inside and asked ourselves, what can we do? What do we have to ask ourselves from ourselves? And we tried really everything. And we were at a dead end. And we came to the conclusion, we need help. And that's not so easy when you're in Australia and your upline is over in America. And we did it. We chose to chase and continue. And that's just a little story. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.
I have often dreamed of a far-off place where a great white will be waiting for me, where the crowds will cheer when they see my face, and a voice keeps saying, "This is where I'm meant to be."
I'll be there someday. I can go the distance. I will find my way. If I can be strong, I know every mile will be worth the fight. When I go the distance, I'll be right where I belong. Down an unknown road to embrace my faith. Though that road may wander, it will lead me to you. And 1,000 years would be worth the wait. It might take a lifetime, but somehow we'll see it through. And I wanna look back. I can go the distance and I'll stay on track. No, I won't accept defeat. It's an uphill slow, but I won't lose hope. Till I go the distance and my journey is complete. But you'll know me on the glory is the highest. For a hero's strength is measured by his heart. I will go the distance. I will search the world. I will face its heart. But it can't go far. I can go the distance till I find my hero's welcome me.
Next up, double presidential diamond, Haley Hobson.
Stop me on the corner. Swear you hit me like a vision.
Mic on? Yeah, you can hear me? It's so crazy. I got up here just a second ago and I'm looking around the room and there are more people here today than my very first leadership conference. Just to give you an idea, and there were 10,000 at last leadership. So we are growing and it's awesome. So I want to introduce you to, where is my PowerPoint? All right, I'm doing it without it, I guess. I want to talk to you guys today about one of the aspects that I think is, oh, there it is, all the way over there. One of the aspects that I think is super crucial in getting our businesses to grow, and it's the law of attraction, really. And I feel like so many people, what I see in my own organization is so many people have all this passion for doing this business, and then they get out there and they don't know how to share the opportunity or the product. They don't have the confidence and they don't know how to network and talk to people. So I just want to introduce myself a little bit. I really consider myself mostly a momtrepreneur. I have a little, just barely turned 7-year-old at home, and I'm teaching her how to get out there and have a personality so that she can turn into her own woman when she grows up. And I'm so happy that doTERRA has given me this opportunity to express myself and become who I never thought I would be, and that she is there to watch that happen and become her own person too. So what I want to focus on is how we can attract more people into our business. And specifically, getting out there, getting more people into our classes that we're inviting people to locally, getting people on webinars. How many people have tried to host a webinar and nobody showed up? How many people have tried to do an in-person class and nobody showed up? Congratulations, so have I. Once I flew out to Chicago to do it. That was awesome. So what happens is we show up, we try to pitch up, and we don't get the results that we want, and we can actually fix it through our own action. We sometimes look at what's going on with everybody else. Like you guys have heard some amazing people come up on stage today, and I bet you looked at some of them and thought, that's never going to happen to me. And I actually believe the opposite. When I went to that first leadership conference that I went to 3 years ago, I believe this is going to happen for me. And I looked at all of those people on stage and I figured out I am going to do exactly what they're telling me to do. I'm going to listen up and I'm going to create that kind of abundance. So I didn't want to have that attitude, and I don't want you guys to think that you can't do it either. So I want to focus on how you can share this and attract more people into your business. And what I really mean by that is attracting more people into your life so that we don't have the frustration of people not pitching up. I feel like I'm going backwards. I am. Sorry about that. I'm like really good at building doTERRA, but not good at using the clicker. So anyway, it's all in the invitation. And the question that you have to ask yourselves right now is, what am I attracting into my life? I went out the other day and my daughter has been asking me for 3 years to buy her a wig for fun, the little 6-year-old. And I finally did it. I finally caved in. I'm like, I can't believe I'm spending the money buying this brand new 7-year-old a wig, right? Because they're expensive. And she went to bed that night sleeping in the wig. And woke up the next morning sleeping in the wig. It's rainbow, by the way, with My Little Pony ears on it. And she wanted to go to school in it. And ever since then, every time I FaceTime with her, she's wearing the wig. Right? She is inviting people into her personality and into her life. Why is it so easy to do that as children? How come we can't do that now? And how can we add more energy, put out more energy, and attract more people into our life? What kind of actions do we need to be doing in order to add that kind of value into the world? So we've heard from Nandy and Nandy. We've heard from Andy and Natalie, and we've heard about for a long time now the PIPE system, right? And this is a system that we focus on every single month, not just as a launch. I prepare every month in my business, every week actually, even every day. And then there's the invite and the presentation and enrolling people and giving them that kind of support that they need. But what I think all the action lies in, especially in the beginning, is the invitation. And that means how we can invite more people into our life, how we can network, which really means how we can make friends with people. And that is what this business is all about. So I'm going to tell you something now that is going to shock you. You don't know the best people in your organization yet. The best people have not showed up into your life yet. And those people, the ones that you haven't met, are going to make the biggest impact on your life. I swear it's not me. It's like the battery's dead. So you have to get out there and you have to be building relationships. And there's two parts that I want you to think about with this invitation. There's the invitation to actually sit down with us, like we're hosting a class, we want to get people there. But then there's the invitation to your life, which has to happen first. Do you guys ever feel like you're following somebody like on TV or in the movies or maybe even on social media, and then you run into them somewhere in person and you feel like you actually know them? Right? Because they've been inviting you into their life the whole time. Have you ever had a person who you've gone to teach a class for, and you show up to teach the class, and they invite 30 people, and 30 of them enroll? It happens. It happens because they've invited people possibly for 20 or 30 years into their life. So that first group of people that found them, everyone enrolled because they invited people into their life. So this is the magic that grows our business. And if you're not inviting people into your life where they really get to know you, this is where you feel awkward and weird. I love this quote that I put up on the board here. When you run through your warm market, you have to warm up your cold market. You don't know the best people in your life yet, and you need to continue to build relationships. You know, I just went to a life coach training a couple months ago and went out there with the intention of becoming a certified life coach and really milking all of the information in. And I made some amazing relationships when I was there. I didn't try to build doTERRA. I went there to soak in that information they were giving me. And I ended up enrolling over the next couple of months 4 women that were in that training with me out of 30. Because we had spent that time together, and after the training, continued to nurture our relationships. And one was local to me in Boulder. And so every week we've been getting together and working out. And finally last week she asked me if she can enroll with me. Never asked her. It was all about building relationships and building trust. So these are some examples. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I just put some screenshots of what I've had up on Instagram the last couple of weeks of people that have come into my life because of what they've seen just on social media. So the bracelet at the bottom picture, I'm addicted, by the way. That is a woman who I'm stalking her for awesome jewelry on Instagram. And after we got to know each other and I ordered bracelets from her and we kept chatting back and forth, she decided to come on to my doTERRA team. The girl with the sunglasses in the lower picture next to the bracelets, again, somebody who just kept seeing blogs of mine and feed and eventually called me up, tracked me down, and told me she wanted to be on my team. Little lower hand corner on the left, that's just my sister and brother. Had to throw them in because they're in my team now. The Michael Franti picture in the middle, anybody a fan of Michael Franti? Went to a concert, brought a friend, invited her just because I wanted her to go, never even asked her for money for the ticket, and 2 weeks later she decided she wanted to do doTERRA with me because of our relationship building probably that night. The top picture with me with the nice shopping bags, again, an addiction. I went out on my birthday, bought myself some presents, and ended up enrolling the girl who helped me. It's all about, and I didn't go there to do it, you guys. I barely had any oils on me. The point is the building relationships. And sometimes it happens. Immediately you have a connection with somebody in person, and sometimes it takes months. But the point is that you are going to bring your mom and your siblings on, probably, but you can't build a business with them. You have to continue to warm up your cold audience. And so I have 13 frontline leaders now, and I only knew 3 of them before I started. My mom, my sister, and my sister-in-law. And it still took my mom 6 months to enroll, my sister 3 years, and my sister-in-law about the same. So you will not know everyone that's sitting in your organization. If you're stressing out right now about, I don't have any builders, go out there and start making friends. And whether you do that in person or whether you do that by being vulnerable online, that is how you're going to build your team. And people will want to spend time with you because they feel you. And that only happens, that success only happens if you invite them into your life first and you give them a perspective of your goals, your dreams, and your belief systems. And that way you never ever have to sell a thing. You never have to push product. You just simply have to get out there and practice being you. Maybe go buy a rainbow wig with little ears on top. You're basically attracting people into your life and into your network, and it's all about that attraction. So 3 important areas that I want you guys to focus on as you walk out here are cultivating relationships with people. I call that, or some people call that following up, right? You meet somebody, you give them a sample, you follow up. I don't think about following up on the product. I think about cultivate the relationship with the person. And sometimes it's months before I even share doTERRA, because all I'm doing is cultivating the relationship and building deeper connections. Then you continue to nurture the relationships. And sometimes this takes a really long time, like 3 years. You're taking it to the next level. But as you heard Carrie say on the stage a little while ago, it took her 6 or 7 years to become Presidential Diamond. And you think she regrets waiting that long for that paycheck? It doesn't matter how long it takes. Continue to build trust and take those relationships to the next level. Nurturing the relationship. And then it's the presentation, obviously, but none of this can really happen unless you first invited people into your life. Sometimes you get lucky, and it's on the first contact. You're sitting next to somebody on the plane, and bam, you've got 3 hours sitting next to them. You can do a mini class, right? But sometimes it takes a lot longer because you do have to build that relationship. So instead of thinking about following up, think about connecting. Think about relationship building. Think about making friends. And this is, again, a little snippet, a little screen share from some Instagram posts that I put up back in the spring. And this is just examples, 1 week of what was going on in my life. And there were no doTERRA posts. The reason that people connected with me was because they found similarities between us. They found something that they could relate to. They had a pain that somewhere, whether it was emotional, physical, or financial, that they thought I could solve for them. And that is your job, getting in there, connecting, finding solutions, and then maybe even helping them create the story that they are looking for by developing that deeper connection. So when you do this consistently over time, you guys, then you don't have to ask people to join you. They come and they ask you if they can join you. It's really awesome. So I want you to get out there and start really inviting by just being authentic and figuring out who you are or who you want to be and what value you have and how you share. And I totally know that every single one of you in this room who's sitting here, who's made the time to come here and burdened yourself financially with your airfare and your hotel room and the logistics, you can totally crush it if you're just you. Thank you so much.
All right, let's everybody stand up and have a big stretch. Everybody lift your arms up and then over to this side and give your neighbor a nice shoulder massage. Spread some love. Tell him you're an incredible producer. You were made for success. All right, now give him a high five and let's jump back in. Right. This next presenter I'm really, really excited about. Natalie and I met Brett Harward 8 years ago when he was a consultant to some of the biggest companies in America. And from day one, when we met him, we could tell that he had skills and he had a level of accountability in his world that we wanted. And so we started reaching out to him about a year ago and we partnered with him in developing the Share Success Pro app. So please help me welcome Brett Harward.
Thank you, man. All right. So I just want to share with you ideas about how to increase your inviting and your presentations and your enrolling. And I'll talk kind of in the context of the Share Success Pro app. How many of you have it and have used it? Okay, a lot of you, great. Here's a concept behind it. The best way to probably explain the concept behind Share Success Pro is to just tell you a quick story. About 4 weeks ago, I had a friend of mine from Seattle that drove all the way from Seattle. I live in Jackson Hole, Wyoming on a ranch, and we have a bunch of horses. And all right, we got some Jackson Hole people. That's great. And my friend drove, he brought his 10-year-old son. I'd never met his 10-year-old son, but they got there about 10 o'clock at night, and his son got out of the car. I've never met him before. Got out of the car, put his hands up in the air, and the very first thing he says, he got out of the car, he said, "I'm not riding horses. I'm not riding horses." And his dad looked at me and said, "You know, the entire drive from Seattle, the only thing my son has said is, I'm not riding horses. I know they have horses. I'm not riding horses." And I said, okay. We weren't even talking about horses. And some of you might have experienced that when you talk about network marketing, right? Nope, not network marketing. I'm not trying that. The next morning, I got up about 7:30 in the morning. As I walked across to our guest house, his 10-year-old son, Oliver, was standing out in front of the guest house. And as I walked across, his son Oliver, I got close, his son Oliver put his hands in the air and he said, "I'm not riding horses." I said, "Okay, I got it. However, I'm saddle up a horse. Would you come down and watch me?" And he was a little bit reluctant. His dad said, "Yeah, he's not going to ride horses." And I said, "I got this. This is what I'm an expert at." And we went down, and Oliver watched me brush out the horse. And when I was on my side of the horse, I said, "Come over here for a second. Would you help me and just brush out his neck?" And I got Oliver to brush out his neck. I put the saddle on, and Oliver helped me by passing some straps underneath the saddle. And we went through a series of steps, and there came a point about 15 minutes later when Oliver came riding out from around the horse trailer on the horse. And his dad, who had been sitting at the guest house, just about fell out of his chair. And he said, "How in the heck did you get him on the horse?" And what I said was, "Well, you know, I took him through a series of small steps, where each step was within reach of the last step. And eventually there came a logical point when getting on the horse was the next step. But I took him through the small steps to get there." And there's a secret to that in life. And it doesn't matter whether it's using products, whether it's prospecting, or having your customers to develop the habit of using essential oils in their life, or whether it's enrolling someone and teaching them the skills that they need to be successful in the business. If you break it down into small pieces and give it to them a piece at a time where each piece makes sense from the previous piece, it's easy to get people to move. It's how human beings move best. Okay? And so when we developed this app, the purpose of the app is to give you tools. So whether you're prospecting or whether you have customers and someone buys an essential oils kit or a natural solutions kit, the ability to give them this big complex thing and say, "Hey, let me break it down for you. And I'll just put you on a track, and I'll send you reminders and emails, and I'll teach you how to use the oils. I'll remind you when to use them. I'll help you associate so you recognize the benefits of what you're doing." And so that's what the app is primarily designed to do for you, is to help you take these complex things, and rather than try and get a long bomb touchdown pass every time you talk to somebody, to be able to start from any place where they're at and be able to say, would you try this? Or if you get this kit, if I could send you something that would teach you how to use the oils you just bought. Or if you sign up, if you decide to enroll, we said, if I could spend the next 3 weeks and every day spend 5 minutes and teach you a skill so that I could teach you all the skills you need to be successful and have it completely automated from you. So it's sending texts from you, and it's sending emails from you, and it's notifying you about what they're doing. And it's telling you when to call them. And it even says right on the screen, right on the app, it says, here's what you can say when you call them. Here's the questions to ask. Here's what to do so you can have the process. I'm a business guy. So as I look at this, what I'm really doing is I'm setting up a business process that is psychologically sound. It walks people through the process in a way that's super easy. And it walks you through the process and teaches you how to do it. It teaches you how to do it at the same time. So that's what the app's about. We've been playing with this now for the last year. As a matter of fact, it's funny because Natalie and Andy, we've been friends for years and years. And I thought of them, and I thought, I was kind of developing this technology, and we're working with hospitals, and we're working with a lot of large companies that need to change people's behaviors. And I said, you guys should do this. This would make a lot of sense with what you're doing. And I talked to them about this for a year. And they talked to me, guess what they talked to me about for years? They talked to me about essential oils. It was kind of a secret agreement we had, is I would talk to them about what I was doing, and then I never left without getting some oils and having Natalie putting stuff on me and talking about and giving me stuff to give to my wife. And so about the time that they finally gave in and decided that we would develop this project together, I finally gave in. And so my wife and I have, my house smells like essential oils 24 hours a day. She loves the essential oils. As we were playing with this, I said, what if that's what you even sold? So as you're out talking with serious business owners and inviting people that have some business backgrounds, one of the, it's one thing to have awesome products that really people's lives. It's to have systems in place that help them be successful. And so about 3 weeks ago, just kind of give you a case study, 3 or 4 weeks ago, I sat down with my son. My son's a very good business guy and has started and built several businesses, has made lots of money. I'm really a great kid, very proud as a dad of my son. Drives a Lamborghini. He's one of those guys. Kind of makes you irritated and sick when he does. And I said, you know what? We've been developing this product so we can take doTERRA and make it kind of like McDonald's, where you got all these processes and it's in a package, and you can instantly be really good at business because all these tools just walk you through what to do all the time. And so about 4 weeks ago, he finally said, you know what? He talked to some of his friends. He said, I'm going to do this. Let's do it. He had all his friends come over to his house. We want to do this. This is a great business. This is a great structure here. There's some great tools that we can have. And he had everybody sign up, and some of you have probably heard rumors about him. So that's my son, and he brought this tool, and he used it as his main example of how to do it. And so he signed up 8 days before the end of last month, and on the last day of the month, he got diamond. So in 8 days, what he primarily sold is that. What he primarily sold is the systems and the tools that anybody can be successful. So play with the app. If you have questions, we have a booth out there too that I've got folks that can explain how it works. Thank you for having me at your conference. Have a great conference.
Okay, please welcome the woman that is very passionate about family, loves to travel the world. It is Sarah Jansen.
Can you guys hear me? No? Test. Can you hear me now? All right. Ooh, they threw this clicker in my hand right as I ran out here, so we're going to see if it works. All right. Can I get my slides? I get to talk to you about excuses. And the reason why we put this a little early in the day is so that you can just figure out what they are. Well, you probably know what they are, but so that we can help you get over them, right? So there's two kinds of people. Those who make excuses and those who make it happen. So raise your hand if you love to make excuses. Oh, see, these are the honest ones, okay? I love it. You're here to change that, right? We're here to show you how to become the happy blob of sunshine on the right, okay? Who wants to learn how to make it happen today? Okay, on the count of three, yell, make it happen. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Make it happen! Oh, this is a fun group. I like it. All right, one of my absolute favorite guys in the whole world is Jim Rohn. Are there any Jim Rohn fans? I'm going to tell you guys a secret. Ange Peters does a mean Jim Rohn impression. She's going to be so mad that I said that because you guys are all going to run up to her and ask. But he says, if you really want to do something, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse, right? You have to decide. You have to decide. Let's imagine what it feels like to straddle a fence. It's not super comfortable, is it? Right? So you're just kind of sitting on the fence. Every single decision that comes into your doTERRA world, you're trying to decide if you're serious about this or if you're not. It's a very uncomfortable place to be. So once you can decide that I am absolutely 100% doing this with no excuses, everything in your doTERRA business becomes easy.
because that class that you're not sure if you really have enough energy to go teach doesn't matter. You're doing it anyway, right? That's how that looks when you get off the fence. So let's talk about your butt. I tried so hard to find a graphic to go with this. I'm not going to recommend Googling that, okay? So we're just going to go with text, but I'm not talking about that butt. I'm talking about the butt that you put in the sentence of something that you'd like to create with doTERRA. So I want to be silver on or before September 30th, 2016, but I work full time and I'm just really tired, okay? Whatever that but is for you, I want you to think about it in your head right now, because that's what we're going to conquer today, all right? And instead of but, I want you to say, so I'm committed to, and we heard about commitment up here with Kyle in the panel. I want you to think in your head, your goal, okay? And I recommend picking one specific measurable goal that you want to do by the end of September, by the end of October, that time frame is for you. And I want you to say it to your neighbor right now. I want you to also, just wait, I want you to say your excuse. Let's just get really, really vocal with each other, okay? So I want you to say, I want, blah, 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 and then but, I want you to say what's been holding you back in doTERRA up to this point, why you haven't been able to create what you want, okay? You're gonna have like 10 seconds, go ahead. Okay, let's bring it back. That's a lot of excitement. All right, now, before you're done talking, I want you to change your language and say, I want, so I'm committed to. Change it up. Switch your thought pattern. I want to find more builders in September, so I'm committed to joining 3 meetup groups with entrepreneurs, and I'm committing to do my wellness consults, right away with my new customers. And I'm going to talk about the business in a natural, organic way to everyone I meet, right? All right, so let's talk about what some of your excuses could be. I'm single. I work a full-time job already. I'm not making enough money. I'm too old to start a new business. That's a thing, right? My spouse isn't doing this business with me. I have a serious health condition. I don't have enough business experience, or I'm a single mom. All of those things are like really good reasons why it might be harder to do doTERRA. But those really good reasons that you tell yourself are just excuses. And I've been doing this about 2.5 years now as a business, and I've seen every single excuse squashed like a bug. If you truly want this, you can have anything that you want. So put it out there and get really clear about what your excuse has been, and tell your upline, this has been my excuse, and I thought it was just a really good reason why I was going slower. And get really clear with them, and they'll keep you accountable. They're going to help you. So how would you guys like to hear from 10 people who could have had these exact excuses but decided to be successful in spite of their circumstances? Yes? All right, I have an amazing panel for you. Let's get our panel out here. This is the Beyond Excuses panel. Woo! Give them a round of applause. All right. Come on up. Hi, Dave. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got 3 more. Here she comes, Miss Haley Hobson. All right, if you're on my panel, come on up. Come on down. All right, I got some good questions for you. Right on my trusty phone. Okay, let's start with Danielle. Hi, Danielle. Oh, good. We got the mic to pass. All right, so being single in doTERRA, right? There's a lot of focus on couples and families, right? But, I mean, obviously you are a single, sassy, successful lady, right? Yeah, she is. How have you found your value?
Well, that is a great question. So in the beginning, when you start building a business and you have a lot of questions, and I remember thinking, oh my gosh, if I had a spouse that could take over some of the internet stuff, or if I had just somebody I could come home and talk to about my business and you know, some of those things. And then doTERRA puts a lot of emphasis on family and couples, and you're like, hey. So, and the point being is you don't find value, and we know this logically, but in our hearts we have to really work through this. You don't find value from external circumstances. You find it from internal. So what I had to challenge myself to do, to just get those excuses off of my head, off of my plate, out of my mind, because the grass is not always greener. We have single or married people who are like, oh my gosh, if I was single, I could do this so much better, right? So here's what you have to do is find where do you add value, and put emphasis on that value for yourself. What's your niche? How can you really reach people in your business, in doTERRA, with your builders, being single? And then from the other point, who can you get support from? So something that's been really special to me is my dad built his own business from the age of like mid-20s. He's just retiring. And because I'm building my own business, and I'm not building with a husband, or not building with the guy I'm dating or anything, but I went to my father, and I've been able to really build a wonderful relationship with him now, talking about business that I'd never had before. So there is support. There is someone out there that it can magnify your relationship with them and help you get support outside of your business. So my biggest advice is find that value. Where do you add it? And focus on that for yourself, and that will make you successful.
I love it. Thank you, Danielle. So good. And thank you, chair people. Yay. All right, Sherry, since you're right next door, let's just pass it down the line. All right, so I have a question for you. Do you consider yourself a techie person?
No,
She's kind of
no. Anybody on my team would be able to speak to that, because I have a lot of tech people on my team. So I took electric typewriting was my extent of techiness in high school. So, and I didn't have a working email when doTERRA was shared with me. Didn't have an email at all. So I really started from ground zero, and I still am not techie, and I still don't like it. I don't like anything about techie. But I really, really wanted the opportunity. I really, really wanted to build a business. So I think, again, when you're talking about excuses, there's always an excuse. Everybody's going to have a different excuse that you can make. Simply, for me, I decided to be teachable. Just thought, you know what, it's out of my comfort zone. I'm going to have to do things I don't like. I'm going to have to do things I'm not comfortable with. I loved earlier how they said, you know, do those things. Usually those are the things that hold you back. So I found a high schooler, and I have a high schooler in my home even. But I found a high schooler outside of my home that was willing for $10 an hour to teach me how to be a little bit techie. I was even willing to do a few things for me, techie-wise, for a little money. So you know, there's people all around, not even just doTERRA people, to help whatever the issue or challenge is. So I still not techie. I have people help me with it. I know how to do my email now. I know copy and paste.
Yes.
I'm growing. I don't like it at all. And I think that's probably one of my biggest points is that you're not going to love everything about all of it, but that's okay. It doesn't have to stop you from building. Nothing has to stop you from building. That's one of the things I love about doTERRA. There's so many things, but I don't have a college degree. I've never been in business. I don't have any experience. I'm a mom. I cleaned houses part-time. I decorated for some weddings, and I did those things so that I could pick my kids up from school. That's what Joel and I really wanted to do, have me be in the home. So we made sacrifices for that. But when it came to a business, not here. I've asked for help at every turn. I have an incredible upline right here who answers every call and is sewn into me incredibly. And then people around me. And I have to give a shout out to my team because they support me so many times, even with Techie Today. I mean, so you can do it if you're not techie, but I'm growing and I'm willing to grow, even though I don't like it. So.
I love it. I love it. So this is something that is really a big question for people. They're like, wow, I see everyone doing all this stuff on social media. I see so many people doing so many techie things. And doTERRA can be built not online, right? Yeah? Can I get an amen? Right? You can, yes. Amen. It can be built however is the best for you. Like, do what your strength is, right? That's so good. All right, Melody, you're up next. All right, can we also, like, we didn't say names, and let's maybe say, like, rank how years you've been. So okay, Sherry, let's go back with Sherry. Okay. Sherry's the blue.
Sherry Freeman, and I'm from Minnesota, and we've been involved in doTERRA almost 3 years. My husband and myself, and we're Blue Diamonds.
Daniel, and no, that's not my married name, and and Blue Diamond from San Diego.
Okay, so I'm Melody Watts from Idaho. I've been in doTERRA about 3.5 years. I'm a presidential diamond, and I built to Blue Diamond as a single mom. And so I could have used being a single mom as my excuse. But it was really interesting because I notice now as I'm working with mothers who are married, a lot of their excuses are, oh, my husband doesn't support me. And I remember, thinking, it's all how you look at it. I remember thinking, oh, well, if I just had a husband to support me, I have to be mom and a dad. And I think as a single mom, sometimes we can get in victim mode and go, oh, I'm a single mom, I have to be mom and dad, I have to be provider, I have to be nurturer, I have to do, all these things. Or we can look and choose to feel supported. I remember one time sitting in a coaching session with Tiffany Peterson, and it was a life-changing moment for me. Was sitting there and I was telling her how life was so hard and so chaotic as a single mom, and my husband left me, and then my mom died, and then my ex-husband moved away, and I was just raising my kids when they were so little and they needed me. And I just told her how hard it was. And she just looked at me and she goes, that's hard. She validated it, and then she said, well, you can look at it that way. You can put on your stockings of struggle every day, and life is so hard. Or you can put on your glorious robes of support, and angels support me, and God supports me, and my family supports me. And I literally, and she said, she looked right at me and said, it's a choice. And I literally changed that day. I changed from being a victim to being totally empowered. So you can look at your life circumstance as an opportunity, which is exactly what it was for me. It was a big opportunity. Or you can look at it as, oh, life's just hard for me and it never works out. And you can choose, and whatever you choose will be your reality. And so just like a single mom can say, oh, this is hard, a married mom can say the same thing. She can go, oh, this is hard, my husband doesn't support me, and when I'm gone, he gets angry and it's causing friction in the marriage, and there's all these things. It's just, you either choose your why or you choose your excuse. And that will be your reality, your excuse or your why. So get really rooted in your why and get out of excuse mode and into owning your own power and stepping into your power. So I think that's all I have.
Yeah, that's so good. So good. Yeah, and like whatever you tolerate going on in your brain is going to continue. So pinpoint those thoughts that you don't want to continue in your, brain and change them out. I love that. Thank you, Melody. All right, Jessie, let's talk about kind of how you came into doTERRA, and you had a few roadblocks that were in your way as well, and maybe how you overcame them.
I'm Jessie Reimers. I'm from Australia. Yeah, I started doTERRA 2 years and nearly 3 months ago. I was 23 at the time. I don't have a degree. I've never been in business. I was breastfeeding a young baby and had a 4-year-old at the time. My partner at the time has a background of homelessness and very severe abuse and didn't have a license. Our car was broken down in the front yard. My phone got cut off every few months, or the power or some other bill would get cut off because we were struggling to make ends meet. And I was an activist, so all the work I was doing was for free. So a woman sent me some samples that followed me on Facebook, and I'd suffered with gut health for a decade. I had a shaved head at one stage and was 38 kilos and had autoimmune troubles. And my young son was covered in eczema. So the oils supported us magically, and she said there was a business opportunity involved, and I was instantly just like, yes, I'm in. Silver in less than 60 days, diamond in 11 months, blue diamond in 18 months, and hopefully I'll go presidential this month. Yeah.
Amazing.
But I also, I have Asperger's, which means that I'm on the autism spectrum. I'm high-functioning Asperger's. So I get extremely severe anxiety. So even doing a class in someone's home with like 3 people for me, I'll often have panic attacks beforehand. I have had to reschedule and cancel some classes. I remember flying to Canberra and then just laying in my hotel, like paralyzed in bed, knowing I had to drive 4.5 hours to Leeton, and desperately, I actually booked a flight home. I was like, no, I'm tapping out. I can't do it. And I paid for and booked a flight home to not do the event. I was doing a business in a small country town in the middle of Australia. But I put a lot of essential oils on. This is why we have essential oils, to support people that are anxious, that have Asperger's, that have these things. So I put balance on my feet. I put peace on my heart chakra. I lay there and meditated, and I thought about the people that needed me instead of myself, instead of my anxiety, instead of my extreme fear. I thought about the impact that the oils have made on my life and the business opportunity, and the fact that I don't have to have a panic attack every time I get a new bill, and I have financial freedom and abundance. I'm able to donate thousands a month to causes I'm deeply passionate about. I thought about the impact the oils made and the impact the business opportunity made. And so I drove 4.5 hours to Leeton and did the business training. I had to get someone to drive me to the airport in Brisbane and make sure I got on the plane to get here. and again, douse myself in oils. So I could use the fact that I was 23 when I started, that I had no degree, that I hadn't done business before, that I was breastfeeding a baby, that I did Diamond Club breastfeeding, that I drove 6.5 hours to Harvey Bay breastfeeding, stopping every hour or so, and no one enrolled at a class with 70 people there. And then 2 days later, I drove 6.5 hours to Grafton, and no one enrolled, and I cried all the way home both trips. But then I went back to Harvey Bay and did a class of 28 and 8 enrolled, and now there's a silver up there. And 30 or 40 people from that original class I did where no one enrolled have now enrolled. So instead of using all the things you could use as an excuse, use them as a reason why you should do it. Use it as a reason to inspire and help and support people. Every single person in this room has had powerful experiences with the oils. Have you? Who's experienced something amazing with the oils, or had someone they love experience something incredible? So instead of letting your anxiety and your fear and your excuses and your doubts and all the reasons, who's going to listen to a 23-year-old kid with Asperger's or Bogan? Maybe you guys don't know what Bogan means. It's like kind of derelict, not very classy. Who is going to do business with someone of that caliber? But apparently hundreds, thousands are willing to. So just go out there and get it done and drop the excuses, drop the fear.
Amazing. Test. All right, there I am. Is that not the most amazing story? This is a woman who has prevailed. She's prevailed. I had chills the entire time that you're speaking. Like, this is what doTERRA does. Whew, good stuff. Okay. Taking a moment. All right. All right, Kristen. All right, you're up, babe. All right, so you came into doTERRA. All right, who loves Kristen? We got some fans. All right, so you came into doTERRA and you had some pretty serious health concerns. So talk a little bit about that, and then how you were able to flip that and be successful anyway.
I would love to share that, because I feel like, are there anybody out here who has had something very debilitating, whether it's emotional or physical? There are a few out there. I think we're drawn to this because we are looking for solutions. And there are twofold things that I'd like to talk to you about today. The first one is the embarrassment, maybe a little bit, of representing a company that stands for health. Who's going to listen to me when I don't feel that? Right? Do you feel that way sometimes? Or maybe I don't look exactly the way that I want to look, or maybe, whatever the excuse is. Well, I had that. I was a health coach. I worked in this industry for the past 26 years, and I still got sick. And I shut down. I shut down in a lot of ways. And what I found through the journey of being ill. You cannot hear me? Do I need to talk here? Can you hear me now? Yeah. Okay. I'm a rock star. Can you hear me now? Okay. So all I was saying is that there are the two questions that I had to really work through with having a health challenge. I had been in bed for almost 3 years with a very debilitating case of Lyme disease. And I did not almost make it through that time. But what I learned was, during those moments of illness, of pain, both emotionally and physically, is that I learned who I was. I went to the depths, the very depth of hell, and I made it through that. And I learned in that time that I could have compassion, that I could reach out and be there, because I knew what it felt like to feel so limited and so hopeless. And that, of course, was a mindset that I had to work through. So it empowered me. But when I was introduced to doTERRA, of course, it was for a product level, and I didn't have an interest in the business. I decided right away, because when I found it, it was because I didn't feel well. And I was embarrassed because I felt like, who could listen to me, because I really wasn't that epitome of health. But I want you to know that within the first month of me joining this business, the huge, devastating tragedy happened in Sandy Hook. And it took something so far beyond me to look outside of myself to know that it didn't matter what state I was in, there was something that I could do. And I began to look at what I could do instead of what I couldn't do. And I got past my pride and past my ego. And I began to really understand the laws of health and the things that I needed to do to make sure that I was continuing to thrive. So that was the first one, is, can people listen to me? The other one is, how do you do this when you don't feel as well as you could? Maybe you don't have as much energy. So I want you to know, I want you to make a list of the things that you can do that support yourself and really be positive about it. Take all of these experiences, whatever story you have, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, and you take this story and you become empowered with it, because you are becoming that voice. You become the power that other people look to. And I've had so many people come up to me and say, thank you, because I feel like I can do this too. So that would be what I would tell you, is it doesn't matter where you are, what you're working through, you can do something. And you have people around you to support you. I've never been in a business that has such empowered people. And I want you to know, if you look on this stage, that I know personally, I know most of you on this stage, and that they've all had something debilitating in their life. You've heard some of them. Like, I know we came in this together, and we both had Lyme, didn't we? That was a very big challenge, but look what we did, aside from all of the challenges. So I just want to encourage you that wherever you are, look to the systems, look to the help, look to the upline, look to your leaders, look to the faith, look to whatever it is that drives you, gives you the roots. And it was, again, I mentioned that story about Sandy Hook because that gave me a purpose. It gave me a why. It made me reach outside of myself. And because of that, I poured myself into that. And the team members that I have here from Sandy Hook had no idea I'd only been in doTERRA for 1 month. And by the way, I've been doTERRA for about a little over 3.5 years, and I am Blue Diamond. So.
Thank you, Kristen. So good. Oh, let's jump back down to Haley before I forget to go to Haley. So Haley, one of the things we hear a lot in this business is, my husband really isn't interested in building a business with me, so I'm really not sure if this is for me, if he's not on board. So was that the case with you? And just maybe talk a little bit about how Wes is involved in your business now.
Yeah, I mean, when I first got involved, it wasn't that my husband wasn't supportive. Wes is a fantastic guy, no matter what I've ever said I wanted to do since I've been with him the last 12 years. He's been behind me emotionally 100%, believes in me, trusts in me. I think it's fantastic to find that kind of support. But when I looked at all of the other top leaders in the company, it looked to me like they had partners in the business with them. It looked to me from the outside looking in that they were all doing it together. And I didn't let that become an excuse for me. Wes is a real estate agent. He does very well. He still hasn't retired. He loves his job, and he does really well financially, and he doesn't want to do doTERRA with me full time as a business. And I didn't let that stop me, even though as things got bigger, as things got crazier, sure, I wished I had somebody helping me out with presentations or helping me out doing mentors, or, it would be nice if someone took over half of the travel, right? But I never let that be an excuse for me to not press on. And I remember that night that I hit Presidential Diamond the first time, which was about 2.5 years ago, and I was so new to doTERRA, I had only been enrolled for about 14 months, and I looked in the magazine just to know who the other Presidential Diamonds were. Because we were going to be at convention, we were going to be walking, and I knew that we'd be invited into sort of this little different group, right? The next couple months later was the Presidential Diamond trip, and all of a sudden we were going to be vacationing with all of these people that I didn't know. And I don't remember what number we were. It was something like 11th or 12th in the company at that time, and every picture was a husband and a wife together. And I thought to myself, wow, I did it by myself. I got there to Presidential Diamond by myself. I never let that be an excuse. And then I did it again. And I love Wes, and he's amazing, and you guys know him. He's totally supportive, and yeah, when I throw him the phone, he'll get on with me, but he works 40 hours a week in another career, and that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to do doTERRA today full-time with me, and that is okay. You don't have to have your partner doing the business with you. So for those of you who are single, or those of you who are single moms, or those of you who are just doing this by yourself, married, with kids, guess what? When I started doTERRA, my little one was 3 also. And as a couple of other people mentioned here on the stage, if you aren't where you want to be in your life or with doTERRA or in this business, the only reason why is because you haven't made it a priority. And the moment that you decide, just like Jesse said, to let go of all the friggin' excuses is the moment that you will rise and be exactly where you want to be. And you can sit out there and watch everybody else prancing around and getting their ranks and being on stage, and you can do that too if you let go of the excuses and you get out there and you become comfortable being uncomfortable. I promise you, you will be uncomfortable. And there are going to be many things that you do
that you didn't believe that you can do. But the bottom line is you all have a beautiful message to share. And I don't think that some of you know what that message is yet. And I don't think you're going to know it until you start your journey. And I bet you all of these people on the stage today, I bet Jessie had no idea how many lives that she would touch once she rose to Blue Diamond with no excuses and then could share her story along with the rest of these people that have spoken so far. So your message hasn't even gotten out there yet, and it will evolve. And the only way that you can give your true gift is if you pursue.
Thank you, Haley. So good. It's so true that you have to take action and then your path becomes clear. You don't wait for your path to become clear and then take action, right? All right, Kathy, you're up. Okay, so you started building this business a little later in life. So why are older people uniquely qualified to build doTERRA even better than young people? This will be good, hey?
It's a little old people prejudice I have. And in fact, I look for older people to help me in my business. And these are some of the reasons. So maybe it will enlighten your mind and help you see that this is a very valuable resource. Okay, just think for a moment. What is the biggest excuse that everyone has? Or the biggest challenge that they have with building the business? Thank you. They said time. Is that what you were thinking too? All right, older people like myself have more time. We don't have little kids that are demanding our time and attention. We don't have to go to those ball games and those, PTA meetings and all those kinds of things. We have more time. A lot of us are retired. When they're retired, they're kind of bored. They're looking for something to do. So time is our friend, and time can be our enemy. They're actually, some of them, feeling useless. The kids are out of home and they don't know what to do with themselves. They want to do something significant. So you can come along with doTERRA and say, look, this is a way you can bless the world and help people. Resources is number 2. I brought in my notes because I had such good ideas and I didn't want to forget any of them. Resources. This is something that older people can build up a little bit. Some of us have our homes paid off. We have our cars paid off. We've had time in our careers, and we've got some savings. And as you know, it's a lot easier to build doTERRA if you have a little bit of a financial cushion, right? I mean, you can do it without, and lots of people do, obviously. But if you have a little bit in there to help you start taking those trips and put the gas in the car for those long-distance classes, it's awesome. So we have that as older people. We have connections. We have connections with people. A lot of us have moved a couple of times. Some of us own 2 homes by now. And we know people in both places. I mean, think about your warm market, how important that is. And when you have a couple of warm markets, or 3 or 4, because you've lived 3 or 4 different states or 3 or 4 different places, it's awesome. People skills, life experience. Think about what older people have there that younger people don't have yet. I also look for teachers, school teachers, retired school teachers. For one thing, their retirements aren't that great. And for another thing, they're used to being up in front of people. It doesn't freak them out. They have no problem with it. Some of them are very gifted and very natural at teaching. And really, what is teaching? Teaching and selling, it's all the same. We just have to educate people about the oils, and then they want them. They're sold. So if you teach and educate well, you're a good salesman. Life experiences help with all those problems that come up. You've had some hard knocks in your life as an older person, and okay, as a younger person too. And you know that if you just persevere and get up and brush yourself off and keep going, things will get better. There will be a better day. And I had classes where I couldn't hardly afford the gas to put in the car to go and drive there to that. And no one enrolled. And I felt like crying all the way home. In fact, did. And I think it's good for you to know that happens to us too. We're not some kind of brilliant genius super builders. We're just normal people that tried again. A lot of my people have business experience. In fact, some of my most successful people had businesses that they were very good at, very successful at the time that doTERRA was introduced to them. And don't be discouraged by that, because people who already have a successful business know how to be self-starters. They know how to be responsible. They know how to put out fires and take care of problems. They know how to make that bottom line work. They've developed all those skills over time that are going to be very, very valuable to them in building doTERRA. A lot of older people are attracted to the business model. And honestly, I have taught classes for husband and wives and just talked to them about the income potential and the business model, because I didn't understand how beautiful and how rewarding and how sweet residual income could be. And let me tell you, it is. I worked really hard at several businesses in my life, and yes, I had some success here and there, but the minute I stopped doing the weddings or I stopped designing the patterns, there was no more income. If I stopped going to trade shows, there were no more buyers. So with doTERRA, I can stop for a week, I can stop for a month, I can stop for 9 months, and the checks still keep coming in. That's residual income. That is freedom. So your older people, if they're not happy with their income, and a lot of us aren't, we realize it's not going to be adequate to get us through. You need $1 million now to adequately retire, and that's if you don't live a really, really long time. They're attracted to just, I tell people, I thought if I could just make anywhere from $700 to $2,000 extra, that would make such a difference in my financial pressure, my worries. It would just take that load off. And I passed that up that first year and a half. I started doTERRA at 55, and my daughter enrolled me. I hit Diamond at 57. I hit Blue Diamond the same week, by the way, that I got divorced, at age 60. And I have just been really enjoying my single life ever since. So, okay, last, I just want to say, like I mentioned in the beginning, a lot of us, as we get older, realize that we don't want to leave the planet without leaving some good. And doTERRA has given me a chance to do that, to help people heal emotionally, financially, and physically, and to help them, now I have to say it the client way, sorry I slipped, support their health, and support their finances, and support their emotions. And what a great gift that is to be able to give, and what a mark we can leave. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. All right, we're going to wrap this up with Dave and Chelsea. All right, so Dave, you actually worked a full-time job all the way up to what rank?
Blue Diamond.
To Blue Diamond. Okay, so if your excuse is, well, I work full-time, I can't really be that successful, tell them why you can.
Okay, so when Tammy and I started doTERRA, then I owned a commercial printing company right here in Utah. So it was about a $13 million a year company. We had over 100 employees. And if you know anything about manufacturing, especially printing, your equipment is so expensive to buy that you have to run your plant 24 hours a day just to pay for the equipment and then eke out some little bit of a profit, right? So that's where we were. Tammy and I have 4 children. At the time, we had 3 that were teens and a lovely, let's see, I think she was about 6 or 7 year old. Okay, so busy household. I had been doing a lot of the easy part, which was earning the money, and Tammy was home taking care of our home, especially our children. But our family was really important to us. So, and the business was successful. Our income was good. We were making a Blue Diamond income from the printing company. So our excuses were we're too busy. We already have a comfortable income. The business is just taking too much time. So we didn't have time. We didn't really need more income. So isn't that ironic? But what we wanted was time freedom, because we didn't have that. And because our family was so important to us, then that's what we wanted most. I wanted to be able to be present for my children and to be there. And in this day and age of technology, like, everyone expects you, right, to answer their texts in like 2 minutes. And if you don't answer them in 2 minutes, it's like, I've been trying to get a hold of you forever. It's been so long. Where have you been? I'm like, yeah, you sent me 3 texts in the last 5 minutes, and I'm answering you now. I know, where are you? So that's kind of the way it was. I would be with my family, but not actually present. So that time freedom. But the other thing that like I had struggled my whole life with, which I get asked this all the time, is, well, I'm building a doTERRA business and I feel like I'm out of balance. And I wanted to be in balance. And I sought for that. And then I realized that my idea of balance was completely skewed. And so what we realized is our life was kind of like running a river. So that's something that our family likes to do, is run rivers. And if you ever ran a river, then there's parts of the river that are like wide and deep, and you're just kind of slowly floating down. And that's the part where the kids are jumping off the boat and you're playing games and you're doing things. And then you get to a part of the river that picks up speed, and soon it's rapids. And if you ran a river, you know during the slow part, you don't really have to do anything. In fact, once in a while, you might get caught somewhere where you have to paddle a little, but it's pretty easy. But when you hit the rapids, that's when it gets serious. And you have to paddle everyone with all their might, because if you slow down and don't do that, it could be a disaster. The boat will flip, you lose people, people can get hurt, right? So we realized that when we started building our doTERRA business, we just hit the rapids. And everyone in our family was going to have to paddle to get this done. And balance was, our idea of balance went out the window. And what we decided to call that was, we had focused imbalance. And so if you think you're going to have balance while you're first building your doTERRA business, the balance in the sense that we spend equal time on equal things, which would look like 8 hours of sleeping, 8 hours of work, and 8 hours doing other things, that's just like, don't measure yourself by that, because just like a farmer who, if they lived by that, would have a poor